This warning stood outside Buckingham Palace for 11 years, until one tourist decided to ignore it. 4 seconds later, the horse taught him a lesson that 40 million people would never forget.
The guards warning Dale Harmon had exactly one goal for his trip to London: get a video that would finally break 100,000 views. He'd been posting travel content for 2 years, and so far his biggest hit was a clip of him trying, and failing, to eat an entire English breakfast in under 5 minutes. Before that, it had been a video of him getting lost in the London Underground for 40 minutes while narrating it like a survival documentary. Neither had done what he wanted. He needed something bigger, something nobody else had. He found it standing outside Buckingham Palace on a warm Tuesday morning, in the form of a royal guard on horseback. The guard himself, a young man in a scarlet tunic and a tall bearskin hat, sat perfectly still atop a huge black horse. Tourists packed the square, phones raised, waiting for the guard to blink, twitch, do anything at all. He never did. That was the whole point. Guards like him trained for months to master perfect stillness. Through heat, through rain, through the occasional pigeon that landed directly on the hat and stayed there for an uncomfortably long time. But Dale wasn't interested in the guard. He was interested in the horse. Its name, though Dale didn't know it, was Wellington. 17 years old. A veteran of 3 coronations and 2 royal weddings. Wellington had stood through crowds, brass bands, thunderstorms, and entourage on one memorable occasion, a hen party and matching tiaras who had tried to feed him wedding cake. He was, by every account, one of the calmest horses in the regiment. The other guards joked that Wellington had seen everything a human being could possibly do in a palace square, and had simply stopped being surprised by any of it. He was also, quietly, one of the most easily annoyed. There was a sign a few feet from where Wellington stood. It was laminated, slightly faded at the corners, and had been fixed to the barrier for 11 years. It read, "Warning, horses may kick or bite. Please keep a safe distance." In 11 years, that sign had been rained on, snowed on, and once used as an impromptu umbrella during a sudden downpour by a confused German exchange student. It had never in all that time been read by Dale Harmon, because Dale Harmon didn't read signs. Dale Harmon made content. "Guys," he said into his phone, walking backwards so he could film himself and the horse at the same time. "Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing something nobody else on this app has done. I'm going to get the Queen's guard, or his horse, whatever, close enough to notice me. Watch this." A woman nearby glanced at him, then at the sign, then back at him, and took a small step away, the way people do when they sense something is about to go wrong, and would rather not be standing next to it when it does. Her husband nudged her and quietly pulled out his own phone just in case. Dale ducked under the rope barrier. A guard standing on foot a few meters away stiffened but didn't move. Royal guards are trained never to break formation, no matter what happens around them. A rule that has occasionally led to some very strange internet videos, but a rule they take seriously all the same. So the guard stood there, silently praying this would resolve itself, while Dale walked directly toward Wellington with his arm outstretched. "Hey, buddy," Dale said, phone in one hand, the other reaching up toward the horse's nose. "You want to say hi to the camera?" Wellington's ears went flat. If Dale had spent even 30 seconds around horses in his life, he would have known that flattened ears are not an invitation. They are, in fact, closer to a written notice. But Dale had spent his life around phone screens, not horses, and so he kept walking, hand outstretched, filming his own delighted grin instead of watching the animal in front of him. What happened next took less than 2 seconds. Wellington's head snapped forward. He didn't bite Dale's hand. Horses, as it turns out, are often smarter and more precise than the people who approach them. He clamped down instead on the strap of Dale's fanny pack, which was hanging loosely at his hip, and gave one sharp, decisive tug. Dale went down like a folding chair. He landed hard on the cobblestones, his phone skittering away. Granola bar wrappers and a half-eaten packet of crisps spilling out across the ground as the fanny pack strap tore free. The crowd, which seconds earlier had been quietly dreading this moment, erupted into laughter and a fresh wave of raised phones. Except now all of them were filming Dale instead of the horse. Wellington, for his part, simply stood there chewing, entirely unbothered, as though tourists lost their dignity in front of him on a semi-regular basis. which it turned out they did. One of the other guards later admitted off the record that this was not the first fanny pack Wellington had claimed as a trophy. It was, in fact, the third. A medic was called over, more as formality than necessity. Dale had a bruised elbow and a scraped palm, nothing worse. As he sat on the ground, dazed, trying to figure out what had just happened to his snacks, an older guard named Sergeant Price finally allowed himself the smallest flicker of amusement. "Sign's been up 11 years. Sir," he said without looking directly at Dale. "Horse has been here 17. You lasted about 4 seconds." The crowd laughed again and somebody near the front actually applauded, as if they'd just watched the final act of a very short, very satisfying play. Somewhere in the scattered wreckage of granola bars, Dale's phone was still recording, having landed lens up and captured the entire thing by accident, which turned out to be the best camera work of his entire career. Dale spent the rest of that afternoon nursing his pride more than his elbow, sitting in a nearby cafe, replaying the fall over and over on his cracked phone screen. Part of him was embarrassed. A smaller, more familiar part of him, the part that had built a career out of turning bad days into content, was already thinking about the caption. 3 weeks later, he was sitting at home when he opened his phone and found a notification he didn't recognize. Someone had taken the fallen phone's footage, cut it together, and reposted it under a title he hadn't written. It read, "Royal Guard Horse absolutely destroys tourist who ignored warning sign." It had 40 million views. His own channel, the one he'd spent 2 years building, gained almost nothing from it. The video wasn't even his anymore, not really. It belonged to everyone who'd ever watched a horse win an argument it never asked to have. Comment sections filled up overnight. People argued about whether Dale deserved it. Almost everyone agreed the horse had done nothing wrong. Dale never did get the guard to smile at him. He never got the reaction video he'd been chasing either. What he got instead was a bruised elbow, a torn fanny pack, a minor internet legacy he hadn't chosen, and a permanent place in the comment sections of horse lovers worldwide. As for Wellington, he received an extra bag of carrots that week, a brief mention in the regiment's internal newsletter, and, some claim, though this part is disputed, a small new addition beneath the old warning sign. It read simply, "We mean it." He stood guard the next morning as if nothing had happened at all. Because to him, nothing had. People who didn't read signs were nothing new to Wellington. He had simply been the one on that particular Tuesday, with the patience to finally teach one a lesson, and the good sense to take a snack for his trouble.